30-minute reviews, beware of spoilers, and exploring hyperspace lanes are all available ad-free. But if you want to support the show, you can go to bewareofspoilers.com and click the support button that's available on the Spotify website. Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam on this very dreary Sunday morning. So, Sundance Film Festival time, and I didn't go to Park City to partake in the festival because that's expensive, and money is not something that I have an abundance of. So, ever since COVID, they've done kind of virtual stuff. So I was able to watch a movie virtually on the Sundance app, and I'm doing this on the 28th. If you want to go out and watch this, it will be available today and I think tomorrow too. I think the 29th is the last day that you can watch this movie through Sundance. And Neon is distributing it based on the opening credits and stuff. So yeah. So it's like there are, it will be getting a theatrical release, I assume, at some point in the reasonably near future. But what we're talking about today is a movie called Seeking Mavis Beacon. It's a documentary that premiered as part of Sundance Next, which is kind of like the next generation of filmmakers. And it's a documentary. It's a little experimental in nature. It's not raining that much. It's a little experimental in nature where experimental, it feels weird to say that, where it's like, it feels a little bit like a Michael Moore documentary, but it's an investigative report where they're trying to find the woman who was on the cover of Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing. The landmark, game that was used in the late 80s, early 90s to teach people how to type. And it's a really interesting documentary because there's a lot of things that go into this that I just never realized. Like the impact this had for young black women, seeing this woman on there teaching, and the game itself, having Mavis Beacon be a black woman, did a lot. And I didn't know this, but apparently, like, interest dropped by about half when they put a black woman on the cover. And they stuck with that, the developers. And the story is kind of interesting. It's about these two women who are going out on the mission to find out what happened to the woman who was on the cover, who wasn't a model. She was working at, I think it was Neiman Marcus. She was working the perfume and the cosmetic counter at Neiman Marcus. And they found her, and they're like, hey, do you want to be, we'll pay you $500, do you want to be the cover artist? And then, they never really tracked her down after that. I mean, no one really kept records of what happened. And there's reason for that. They go into the documentary. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone out there who wants to watch the documentary, because these two women did some truly great investigative work, and they did a fantastic job in both the search and in figuring out, just what went down behind the scenes. And it really makes the entire thing very interesting. And I think intertwining the personal quest of these two women in with the actual, history of Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing is a really interesting way to go about this documentary. I think it's very well done. I would recommend anyone out there who is remotely interested, check it out. I mean, especially if we're talking about, we talk a lot on this show and on 30-minute reviews and on the backlog files about game preservation. And not just game preservation, media preservation in general, and why physical media is important. And it's this idea that, it's not just enough to have remakes of things. Because a remake is just them doing it again, and it's not the source. It's not where it came from. And for a medium that's as iterative as computer software or video games, it's not just for the historical record. It's not just important to know what the source code was. It's not just important to know the developmental background of the game. Every part of it is important and should be archived. Which is why, like, there was what was the game that had a 6-hour documentary that they did about the making of the game? Like The Last of Us. They just did that with The Last of Us Part 2, with a documentary about how they made Part 2, and then there's the director's commentary on the remaster. All of these things are integral to preservation in a key way. And it's also why, like, I've talked about it before, when you buy physical movies, you get the director's commentary. The director's commentary is so useful to understand how a movie got made and what happened in the movie that led to it being, it happening the way it did, and all of that. Seeing all of the alternate, all the roads not taken. It's a really kind of interesting, thing to do. I would recommend this. I would very highly recommend this. If you have the ability to drop $25 and watch it over the next day or two, I would definitely do that. It's a very well-made documentary with a lot of interesting, aesthetic choices. Like, I really like the way that they go into, like, that movie Missing and Searching, where it's like it's all shot within the computer screen. There are sequences like that are interesting and kind of laying out some of the context, and I think that works very well within the context of what this movie is. And I think that this is a thing that is well worth your time to dive into and really explore as what this, what it meant for a generation to have this game come out when it did. Again, I'm intentionally being cagey because I don't want to spoil I don't want to spoil the outcome of the search or what happens in the search. I want people to be able to watch it and get that for themselves. And a lot of the stuff that happened along the way with this woman, I don't want people to skip out because they hear the story from me. So I'm going to keep that. I mean, I know this podcast will be aware of spoilers, but I'm still going to keep that kind of under wraps a little bit, just so that way we can, we don't have to, what's it called? I don't want to ruin it for someone else who's like, oh, well, now I don't have to watch it. Watch it. Definitely watch this, especially if you have the ability to, through the Sundance Film Festival, because Sundance Film Festival does a lot to help out newer filmmakers. But I think we'll wrap up there for today. Like I said, definitely check this out. Definitely go and watch this. We have some other stuff coming up this week. We have like Masters of the Universe and Masters of the Air, and the finale of Percy Jackson this week. I feel like there's a movie. I don't remember. Either way, we'll wrap up there for today. Until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.